going to be my birthday book haul. As you can see, there are a crap ton of books in front of me. But some books I got in the city, some books I got from Barnes and Noble, some books I got from my local bookstore for used prices, and some books I got because some of my friends did gift me Barnes and Noble gift cards for my birthday and also just gifted me money to put towards books for my birthday because people have realized my obsession with books have really just gotten out of hand, I guess. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at. So I knew I was going to be doing a lot of book shopping in my birthday month, and I'm really happy and excited to share with you guys the books that I picked up. So I think what I'm going to start with is Barnes and Noble, because actually I think I have the most books from Barnes and Noble and also the Strand. Sorry, my mom is texting me. Okay, so anyway, let's go ahead and start off with, you know what, let's share the 3 books that I got from the Strand first, and then we'll go right into Barnes and Noble. So I did pick up 3 books from the Strand in the city, and if you guys don't know what the Strand is, it's actually a very famous bookstore in New York City. I know I always say the city, like everybody knows what the city means, but I feel like if you do say that, most people are like, oh, NYC, because it's like pretty much the most famous city in the country, if not the world, but let me not be an ignorant asshole. So, there are multiple locations of the Strand, and I've been to 2 of them now. I did go book shopping with a couple of my friends back in like mid-July, but this was, I believe, like the first weekend of August is when I picked up these books. So the first one that I got is The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, and actually this one is the sequel to The Ex-Hex, which I did pick up. That was actually the book that I got at the Barnes and Noble in Union Square in like mid-July. I did pick up the first one then, but I did want to pick up the second one, so I just got it from the Strand, and I just really wanted to get it. And this one says the follow-up to Erin Sterling's New York Times bestselling hit, The Ex-Hex, features a fan favorite Gwen and the spine-tingingly, why can't I say that? Spine-tingingly handsome Wells Penhallow as they battle a new band of witches in their own magical chemistry. So that's the sequel, and also a lot of these books are also being added to my October TBR because for October, obviously, I love Halloween, okay? It's like pretty much my second favorite holiday compared to Thanksgiving. I'm a huge Thanksgiving person. I just love Thanksgiving so much, but Halloween is probably my second favorite. And I wanted to build up a bunch of witchy books and thrillers and like witchy romances. So I wanted to read this series, and actually this 3rd one comes out in the middle of October. But actually that one, I don't know why I'm speaking so weirdly, in the middle of October, and that one's supposed to be more of like a Christmassy vibe. So I'm going to read the first 2 in October. So then the next one that I got from the Strand is actually one of the used books that I found, and this one was $10, which, like, if you don't know, I feel like the Strand is like extremely overrated. Oh, I forgot to grab my books of the month, but those don't really count because they're not really part of a haul. They're just books that I got in books of the month, but I still got them for my August read, so maybe I'll just share them at the end. So anyway, this one is called Go Hex Yourself by Jessica Clare, and this one says there's one hex of an attraction in this romantic comedy from New York Times bestselling author Jessica Clare. When Reggie Johnson answers a job ad in the paper, she's astonished to find that she's not really applying for work at her favorite card game, Spellcraft, The Magicking. Instead, she's applying to be an actual familiar for an actual witch, as in real magic. So, thought this would be a really fun time to read. And oh my god, why is everybody talking to me now? It's always when I want to film. I swear to God, it's pissing me off. So anyway, I'm taking this off. My phone is driving me bonkers. I mean, my watch. So anyway, I'm really excited to get to this one too in October. This one is also the first book in a series, but also, like, I didn't really want to buy, like, the whole series of this in October because I already have quite a few books that I do want to get to in October that are curated for my October TBR. But I do really want to read this one then. So that is the second one. And then the last book that I got from the Strand is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I'm just going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb because actually I'm getting really annoyed right now. So anyway, I'm just getting really annoyed, and it's always when I need to do something important. So anyway, so this one I did get from the Strand as well, and this is the second book in the Caraval trilogy. The first book I actually picked up at my local bookstore, and I got it for like $6 or $7. But I did want to complete the trilogy and own the trilogy because I really do love Stephanie Garber's books. I think they're so beautiful. I should hold them a little bit closer to the camera so you guys can actually see the covers. And I'm just really excited to read this. There's no synopsis on the back. So I'm not gonna read every single synopsis because we'll be here forever, but I just wanted to say I picked this up at the Strand as well. But I kind of wish I would have picked this up at Barnes & Noble because the Barnes & Noble we went to was so beautiful. But it was also pouring rain that night in the city. Oh my god, it was so bad. It was probably some of the worst rain I've ever seen in the city. So we had to like run to the Barnes and Noble. But I did pick this up at the Strand. And then the last book that I picked up, and we're just going to segue right into all the Barnes and Noble books in front of me that I picked up recently. This was the only book I got to pick up at that city Barnes and Noble because they were actually close to closing. We got there at like 8:30 or maybe it was like 8:20, but I wasted like 15 minutes on the ground floor or like a good 20 minutes and I didn't find the upper floor until like 8:45 and I was like, crap, I only have like 10 minutes to look. So I was like, I kind of brain farted on what books I wanted to buy, but I was like, I'm just going to buy the third book in the Caraval trilogy. So I just bought Finale by Stephanie Garber. And I'm really excited to get to this trilogy. I did read Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, the trilogy back in March. So it's been quite a while since I've actually read her writing. So I actually really do want to get to this trilogy. I'm hoping to get to it by like this year. I really did want to add it to my September TBR, but I have like 2 other series that I really do want to read in September. So this just got pushed back, but I'm hoping to get to it hopefully in November and just read those because her books are so easy to get through. They're just so simple. So yeah, so that was the city books that I got, and now I'm just going to jump into the books that I got from Barnes & Noble throughout the past couple of weeks after multiple shopping trips with some of my friends. And I got some of these with my own money, and then I got some of them with the birthday money that I got. So the first one is Beautiful Villain by Rebecca Kenney. Most of these books I haven't read yet, but I will tell you guys the ones I have read. I actually did read this one, and I read this like just recently. Like, I think I finished it on this past Monday, so I did finish this very recently. I just bought this because this book is so gorgeous, like with this evergreen kind of sprayed edges, and I really love the cover and everything, and I just wanted to pick it up there. It wasn't too expensive. Honestly, I'll pay a little bit more for the books that I feel like are better quality, but honestly, this book was not very good. It's supposed to be a Great Gatsby retelling with vampires, and I just felt like I was reading a loosely based Great Gatsby retelling, but make it Twilight. That's how I felt with the dialogue, and I did read like some reviews on this book before I read it, and people were saying the dialogue was pretty cringe. I don't think it was terrible, but honestly it really did remind me of like reading Twilight but make it Great Gatsby. So it wasn't that great. The Great Gatsby retelling was not that great. How many times can I say great? I don't know, but here we are. Okay. And I feel like my phone's not going off. I mean, my watch. Why do I keep on saying my phone? Oh my gosh. Okay. Then next, I got The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I think a few people that I watch on YouTube have read this book. I think Batty Bean. A lot of the witchy books are inspired by Batty Bean. She is like the Halloween queen, so I get most of my witchy recommendations from her, and also regular books because we have very similar book tastes, and it sounds like most of the books that she picks up are ones that I want to read. So this one I am adding to my October TBR as well, because hello, it's all about witches. And this one says, a warm and uplifting novel about an isolated witch whose opportunity to embrace a quirky new family and a new love changes the course of her life. So I'm just very interested in this one. I think it's going to be a fun time. And then the next one that I got from that shopping trip as well was The Honey Witch by Cindy J. Shields. I think that this cover is just so beautiful. And this one I've seen mixed reviews about, but honestly, it sounds so interesting when I read the synopsis of this one. I'm just going to read a little blurb. It says, the Honey Witch is cursed to never find true love, but when she meets a young woman who doesn't believe in magic, she dares to hope for more. So, but I don't really want to read the whole thing because it just sounds so intriguing, but I'm really excited to get to that, and also it's going to be added to my October TBR as well because, again, it's about witches. Hello. Then we have something a little bit different. I actually didn't even know about this book, but I have always been so intrigued on getting the books that are wrapped at Barnes and Noble. They're like wrapped in like brown paper, and they say like there's like some really cute artwork on them, drawing like what the book is about or like what genre it is, and it basically said vampires for this one. And actually, you can, when you go up to the register, you do find out what book it is. When you scan it, it comes up on the screen like when you pay. And I was like, oh, okay. So I ended up looking up this book like as soon as I bought it with my friend because I wanted to open it up. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just unwrap this on my birthday. It's kind of a gift to myself. But I'm like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to open it anyway. And this one is The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. It's just a really, really cool cover. Basically, it's like a keyhole of like looking through a door. And I think that this is going to be really, really interesting. And again, this is going to be added to my October TBR. So hello, it's about vampires. And this one says, Colleen Lesage is a lonely artist who heads an elite fine arts school for children in upstate New York. Her youthful beauty masks the dark truth of her life. She has endured centuries of turmoil and heartache in the wake of her grandfather's long ago decision to make her immortal like herself. Now in 1984, Colette finds her life upended by the arrival of a gifted child from a troubled home, the return of a stalking presence from her past, and her own mysteriously growing hunger for blood. I'm hoping this is not horror, but it didn't say horror. It said vampire thriller, I'm pretty sure. So I'm really, really intrigued to read that one. And then the last one from that shopping trip is actually the third book in a series because I picked up the first two like literally right before I got this one in July. So I wasn't going to include it in my August birthday haul because, hello, that's July, not August. Let me just check my phone really quick. 5 million messages. It's actually not bad. So this one is called Vengeance of the Pirate Queen by Trisha Levenseller. And this one is part of a trilogy, and this is actually the last book in the trilogy. Hold on one second. I think I'm not going to get interrupted again. Okay, so this one is actually part of a trilogy, and the reason why I say this is because I thought this was originally a duology, and then I found out that it's actually a trilogy, and this is the third book. But it's so funny because I actually do have two other covers for, well, I have the new cover for the second book, but for the first book I have the original cover because they had just updated the covers in July. But I didn't know that until after I picked up the second book. And the second book I picked up with the new cover and in the paperback. But this one, I picked it up in the hardcover because first off, this hardcover is really small. So it's not like it's really hard to hold at all, which I really love small hardcovers like this that are really short because then they're just so easy to read. But also the sprayed edges. Like, I needed to get it because these are so pretty. But now I have 3 different versions of these books, but it kind of looks cool next to each other. So I'm not really complaining, but I'm really excited for this. This is on my TBR for this month. I want to read the whole trilogy. The first book is Daughter of the Pirate King, and Daughter of the Pirate King is very popular on TikTok and like YouTube and social media. So I really, really, really want to get to it this September because I do want to kind of read it before the summer is over because I kind of get, it's about, pirates and stuff, so I kind of get summer vibes from that still, and I kind of want to read like something more fantasy in September. So I'm really, really excited. I actually have a bunch of fantasy books on my TBR for this month, and I'm really excited. Okay, and then this one I actually got with these other books. I don't know why I put it on this one. And then I'm just going to share these 2 books really quick because I did get these, I think, right after I got those books I just said. So I did finally pick up a physical copy of Throne of the Fallen by Kerri Maniscalco. Kerri Maniscalco. I feel like everybody says her last name wrong, and I'm like, it's not Maniscalco, it's Maniscalco. There's no extra S. But anyway, look how beautiful this cover is. Like, are you kidding me? With the sprayed purple edges, I was like, I have to have this. And this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. And I've been waiting for this book to come out in paperback. Because if you guys don't know, this is like one of my favorite books of the entire year. And I don't feel the urge to own that many physical books that I have read on my Kindle. Because I actually did buy this book originally in the hardcover. But I found that the font was just so hard for me to read. I felt like it was just, my ADD was not thriving. I feel like it's much easier to read this in the paperback version because I feel like the font isn't as huge and I feel like this would be way easier. But with the Kindle version, it just, aligns it to the same font as every book is on Kindle, and I just found it way easier to read that way because after I returned the hardcover and I purchased it on Kindle, I found it just way easier to follow on it, and I kind of just flew through it, and I absolutely loved this book. It was so amazing. This book is so well loved from a lot of people for good reason. This is one of the best romances I've ever read, and I feel like this book was literally a step up in the series compared to the original Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, and I really do love that trilogy as well. But this one was the first 5-star that I found in the trilogy because all those books were like 4.5 for me. But this one is fantastic. I love this book so much. I am so excited for Throne of Secrets to come out. It's like my most anticipated read for the entire year. I cannot wait for that book. Okay. And then the only other book that I picked up from that time, and then I have quite a few books that I actually got with my birthday money, was the Revenant Games by Margie Fuston, or Fuston. I really don't know how to say her last name. And this cover, look at this beautiful cover. Isn't it so gorgeous? And I actually have read this one. I did read this one earlier in the month. And I just really wanted to get to this sooner rather than later because the concept just sounded so freaking cool. And basically, this one I just really loved it. I gave this like a 4.75. I cannot wait to share my thoughts with you guys in my wrap up, but this one was just so good. I just love this cover, and it says humans are a vampire's prey. They aren't supposed to enjoy getting caught. And basically it's about like vampire witch trials, where basically, which I found was like a really unique concept because there are plenty of books with like trials in them, like Serpents of the Wings of Night, The Hunger Games, Powerless, all of that. Even Red Queen, which I still haven't read yet, but this one was a little bit different because the humans compete for the witches and the vampires, and the vampires grant immortality and the witches raise somebody from the dead. And I was like, sign me up for this. This was so good, so fast paced. I absolutely loved it. Really good. So at least I've read one other book. Okay, and now I'm going to show you guys the books that I actually got with my birthday money, and then we'll share the rest of the books that I didn't get from Barnes & Noble. So these were the first books that I got with my Barnes & Noble money because one of my dear friends did gift me 2 Barnes & Noble gift cards for $25. So I decided I was very torn as to what I wanted to pick up. I actually got these on my birthday with my boyfriend because we went to Barnes & Noble after he took me out to dinner. I was like, literally all I want to do is go to dinner and go book shopping. And I was like, I have Barnes & Noble gift cards to spend because my friend had given them to me literally the day before when we went to American Dream, and that was my celebration of my birthday. So like on my actual birthday, I was like, I really don't want to do much because I was so tired from American Dream, and that was such an amazing time. It was so much fun. So these are the ones I decided to get with my Barnes & Noble gift cards. I was so torn as to what I wanted to get, but this actually ended up turning out to be exactly $50. So I picked up all 3 books in the This Woven, I'm not going to show it like that, in the This Woven Kingdom series by Tahereh Mafi. So the first one is called This Woven Kingdom. I love these covers so much. I think they're so gorgeous. And I was going to read the Shatter Me series before I even picked up these books, but since I had gift cards, I'm like, I don't feel as guilty about picking these up if I have gift cards. Like, I'm not spending my own money then. So we have This Woven Kingdom is the first one, and it says, forbidden romance steams up the pages of this Persian mythology-inspired fantasy series opener in a luxurious saffron-scented world where devils whisper unwelcome prophecies and princes fall in love with iced-eyed jinn. Hopeless romantics will relish the euphoric agony of anticipation as they watch these fated lovers sort through their feelings. But while Elysia and Cameron's relationship develops, Mafi treats readers to sumptuous world building. Okay, I'm very excited for this. So we have the first one, we have the second one, These Infinite Threads. Again, gorgeous covers. And then the last one is the most recent release. I think this one just came out earlier this year. And this one is called All This Twisted Glory, and that's why it's in I feel like it's just getting darker and darker, so I'm not really giving these books all their glory, but this is so beautiful as well. But that's the reason why this one's in hardcover, because this one just came out. But I'm so excited for this series. But I am making myself read Shatter Me first before I get to this. I was so tempted to read these at the end of August just to finally read her writing. But I decided to finish all the summer reads that I had before August was over, because I'm like, I really need to finish these, because I'm not really going to be in the mood for them if I don't finish them in the summertime when it's still hot as hell outside. So just give me 1 second. Okay, and then the last book that I got from that shopping trip And what's so funny is that mostly I got these books because I heard such good things about them from the YouTube channel that I watch called Booked and Busy, and her name is Erin. She is such a sweetheart, and I really love watching her videos. And she had absolutely raved about this series just recently. She said that this was amazing, and she really loved it. I'm not showing this properly. She really loved these. And then I decided to get this because I actually exchanged one of Ali Hazelwood's books that I found at my used bookstore for like $5 as compared to like $18. And I decided to get another Ali Hazelwood, but the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. And I just exchanged that Ali Hazelwood book for this one. And I'm like, well, I want to get the Barnes & Noble one now. So I got Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. And for some reason, I keep on buying Ali Hazelwood's books, but I haven't read any of them yet. I've read 2 of her books that I ended up returning to Target because I really didn't like them that much, but I have bought every single STEM romance that she has out, and for some reason, I still haven't read them. So, yeah, we're going to disregard that, I guess. But Booked and Busy just gave this 5 stars. And she does not give out 5 stars very often. She actually was in a complete 5-star rut for like a year or since like the end of 2022 or something. She said she didn't find 1 5-star in 2023. And now in 2024, she's found 3, and this is one of them. So now I am extremely intrigued to read this. And that was the main reason why I wanted to get this one, because she absolutely loved it. So I'm like, okay. And then she also rated these 2 books 5 stars like 3 years ago. But also, she wasn't the reason why I picked up these books, but I also was curious as to whether or not she read them, and she gave both of them 5 stars, and now I'm like super excited to read these. I want to read these so badly that I kind of want to just throw my TBR out the window right now and just read these. But I'm like, Caitlin, you've had like 3 other series sitting on your shelf. You shouldn't do that. But why am I so tempted to? So I actually heard about this book from another channel. I forget what her name is, but I should try and leave it in the description box below, but I always forget to do that. Like, even every time I say I'm gonna do that, I don't. But I discovered this because one of her subscribers has sent this to her, and I'm trying to find books that are just fantasy, like high fantasy books, not something that is romantasy or even fantasy with a strong romance subplot. That's not technically romance. I want something with dragons, with war, with like magic, all of that. I want that in a book, and I feel like these books are gonna give it to me. And the subscriber that sent her this, she said to them that she really wanted to find books that were more strictly fantasy and not romantasy, so that's why she sent it to her. So this one is called The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I just picked these up yesterday because I picked these up with the birthday money that my best friend gifted me. So I picked this up, and I'm super excited for these. I literally cannot wait. I've heard nothing but great things about these, and they have really high ratings on Goodreads, so I'm like super excited for these, and it's all about dragons. Yeah! And it says, a world caught in an eternal war. One young man will become his people's only hope for survival. Game of Thrones meets Gladiator in Evan Winter's The Rage of Dragons, a novel that started a self-publishing sensation, has become one of the most acclaimed epic fantasy debuts of recent years. So, very excited for that. And then I also picked up the second one as well, because the third one actually comes out in May of 2025. So then I'll be ready for it to come out next year. So I'm very excited to get to these. And the second one is called The Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter. And again, look at these covers. Aren't these so freaking cool? And just, oh my god, I'm just so excited. And this one says, an ousted queen must join forces with a young warrior in order to reclaim her kingdom in the second book of the groundbreaking epic fantasy series that has redefined the genre. So, what else was I going to say about these? About why I picked them up. Now I can't remember. I was really torn as to which books I wanted to pick up with the money that he gifted me. And I was actually going to pick up Brandon Sanderson's first 2 books in Mistborn. Or I was going to pick up, because I haven't read any Brandon Sanderson yet, and I'm, like, kind of dying to, but also, like, a lot of people are kind of intimidated by his books. And also, why can't I remember what I wanted to say? I'm like, oh, I'll remember, and then I, like, totally forgot. Brain fart. And also, I really wanted to get the second and third book in one of the books I'm about to talk about. It's literally right here. But they were so expensive. I'm like, they're like $20. Like, I'd rather spend $20 on, like, these kind of paperbacks that have, like, some substance and some weight to them. Like, this is, like, more worth it to me. So, I'm super excited for those. And then I also just picked up the first book in this, but honestly, I might go try and exchange 2 books to Barnes & Noble. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to try to get store credit for them, because I don't know if it's been 30 days or more. I think they do give store credit after 30 days. I'm not really sure, it might just be 30 days return policy. But I picked up I want to exchange those 2 books for the second and third book in this series, but also, like, I didn't want to buy them all then because, you know, he only gifted me so much that those 2 books were $40 already, that I wanted to use the rest of what he gave me on another book. So I picked up Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This one actually was on my list to try and look for in the store, because I've actually passed these quite a few times in Barnes & Noble, but I haven't picked them up yet. And I keep on seeing a lot of people read this recently, and I feel like it's kind of gotten re-popular again, even though these books are quite old. It says, when I checked on Goodreads, I think it said like 2016 or 2017, so these aren't new, but I guess they like recently got hyped, and I'm super excited to read this. I cannot wait. So those are all the books that I picked up from Barnes & Noble. And now I'm going to share the books that I got from my used bookstore. Just give me 1 second. I gotta check something. Okay, so next up, I'm just going to show you guys pretty much in no order which used books that I've gotten recently. So these deals are just so good at my local bookstore that every time I go there, it's so hard not to pick up a book because they are priced so well. So the first one is Fredrik Backman's Anxious People. So I still have not gotten to any Fredrik Backman books, but a lot of people absolutely rave about this one. And actually the first one I really wanted to read from him was the Beartown series. I think the first book is called Beartown. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. But everybody seems to adore his writing, and this one I got for $9.50, and I actually just, had this recommended to me by 2 of my boyfriend's sister and also my boyfriend's sister's friend. She's actually the big reader, my boyfriend's sister's friend, but she's also got my boyfriend's sister into reading more, and she actually listened to the audiobook of this one, and she said it's really good. So now I'm kind of like super inspired to read this, so I got that, and I really do want to get into his books at some point. What else did I get from that shopping trip? Maybe we should just do it that way. I think it was this one. So I also got As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zolfa Cato. I'm probably butchering that name, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. It's not necessarily a fantasy. I think it's a genre I've never really read before. I think it might be historical fiction. But the cover is absolutely stunning, and I was just super intrigued on this one. This one was $11.99, which is still a really good price. Like $12, I'll still pay that. So it says, This is my land, and just like the lemon trees that have been growing here for centuries, spilled blood won't stop us. Salama Kasab was a pharmacy student when the cries for freedom broke out in Syria. Now Salama, but I've seen nothing but 5 stars for this book, and it says volunteers at a hospital in Homs, helping the wounded who flood through the doors daily. Secretly, she is desperate to find a way out of her beloved country. So desperate that she has manifested a physical embodiment of her fear in the form of her imagined companion Kof. Okay, it sounds very interesting. I feel like I actually have more trouble reading out loud now, because I always stumble because I have ADD, but I feel like since I've been reading so much, I read so much faster now, so like my eyes are moving faster than my mouth, so I'm like, blah, 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 and then I'm like, oh, wait, I gotta slow down because I'm actually speaking out loud. So, fun fact. Okay, and then the next one that I got, this is from my most recent shopping trip, was Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I am dying to get to this series. Everybody absolutely raves about this series. I really don't see anybody not liking these. They have extremely high ratings on Goodreads. I think the last book, or like one of the more recent ones, has like a 4.7 something, and that's like, I think the highest rated book I've seen on Goodreads besides Crooked Kingdom, which is the second book in Six of Crows, and I think that one has like a 4.69 or something. But damn, I really, really want to get to this, and I feel like I'm going to read this series more gradually, because that's what people say about this series, is that you kind of need to space it out because it's kind of really heavy. But I picked up the first one because this one was only $5. And then the second one was sitting right next to it, Golden Sun, but that one was full price, and I hate when they do that. I'm like, is this one $5 too? And they're like, no. I mean, yes, the price is it's $6, and the price is listed inside, but it said something about looking up on the actual tag or barcode or whatever, and I was like, oh, I just have a question. I'm like, is this one also used, or do you have to look up the price? And they're like, no, it's still full price. They just needed to say that to look up like the series and like the other books in it. I'm like, oh, okay, but still, I'm glad I just got the first one. Super excited to get to that. And now since I actually own it, I feel like I'll get to it a lot sooner. And what's the last one? Oh yeah, this was the last one that I got from that most recent shopping trip. So I also got Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary, and I think, unless you've been living under a rock, I think everybody knows The Martian by Andy Weir. It was a huge Andy Weir, not Mayer. Oh my god, my dyslexic ass read that upside down. Okay, great. And also my back is kind of hurting, but we're almost done. We have like less than 10 books left, and this one was like 8 something, and honestly, sometimes their hardcovers are cheaper than the paperbacks. I hate that. When I was growing up, paperbacks were always cheaper, and now it's like the paperback could be just as expensive or even more than the hardcover. But this one was $8, and I was really excited to read this. It literally says the #1 selling author of The Martian, and I just thought this sounded super intriguing, and I do want to get into more sci-fi, so now I have this in Red Rising, so hopefully I'll be able to read those before the year is over. And this one says, a lone astronaut, an impossible mission, an ally he never imagined. It's pretty similar to The Martian, and I kind of wanted to read that first, but at the same time, like, I did see the movie, so I might never read the book because I already saw the movie. I'm like that person, like, now if I've seen the movie, unless it's The Hunger Games, because I really do want to get to The Hunger Games. I obviously saw all the movies, but I don't know if I'm going to read The Martian when I already saw it. So this says, Ryland Grace is a sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. Except that right now he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very long time, and he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. So I was like, this sounds super intriguing. So I'm really excited to read this one. I mean, let's get real. I'm really excited to read all of them because out of all the books I've shared, I've only read, I think, 4 of them. The Revenant Games, Throne of the Fallen, Beautiful Villain, and another book that I haven't shared yet, but I haven't read any of these other ones. Okay, next up, I did pick up this book earlier in the month, but I want to share these together because I did pick up books 1 and 2, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. My legs are starting to hurt. I feel like I need to put them out. Okay, the next one is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alari Seance. And I've seen nothing but amazing things about it because it has all these awards. And when I see like the Goodreads reviews on this, I've seen pretty much all 5-star. And this one says, Dante can swim, Ari can. Dante is an articulate and self-assured. Dante is articulate and self-assured. Oh my god, Caitlin. Ari has a hard time with words and suffers from self-doubt. Dante gets lost in poetry and art. Ari gets lost in thoughts of his older brother who is in prison. Dante is fair-skinned. Ari's features are much darker. It seems that a boy like Dante with his open and unique perspective on life would be the last person to break down the walls that Ari has built around himself. But against all odds, when Ari and Dante meet, they develop a special bond that will teach them the most important truths of their lives and help define the people they want to be. Okay, I'm not going to read any more, but this is like a really short synopsis, but that sounds really good. And then the second one is Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World, and I picked this one up in in hardcover because the hardcover was only $6 and it was in such great condition. No, $7. Why am I always off from $1? But honestly, this book is like in such pristine condition that I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get it. It's $7. So I'm really excited to get to that as well. And then the last 4 books that I have in this haul, let's do this one first, from the Huntington local bookstore. I did pick up another book by Catherine Center called How to Walk Away. As you guys know, I absolutely have fallen in love with Catherine Center's writing recently, and I'm trying to work on reading her whole backlist. So this one is actually on my TBR for September, so I hope to get to this very soon. But also, as soon as I bought this at the bookstore, I found out that it was literally on Kindle, but I did get this for $6, but it is on Kindle Unlimited. But it's only $6, and I might honestly keep it because I really love her books. And also, I just want to give it a shot and read it. And at the same time, like, I'd rather return books to Barnes & Noble than to the local bookstore because I want to support them. But yeah, I just really cannot wait to get to this one. Hold on a second. Okay, and then the last 3 books that I got from the used bookstore. This one I also got when I got How to Walk Away and the Aristotle and Dante book. So I did really want to pick up a couple more Grady Hendrix books because I absolutely adored the Southern Books Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. That was like one of the first books that I read back in June. But that's the only book that I've read from him, and I feel like I'm a lot more intrigued to read his writing over Riley Sager after Middle of the Night was like my last straw with Riley Sager. Now I kind of don't want to read any more of his books, which is so crazy because I was so excited for that book. And like I've said before, The Only One Left is one of my favorite books of all time. That book is fucking perfect to me. I was just so shocked on how bad Middle of the Night was, but I'm just going to give Grady Hendrix more love. So this one is called How to Sell a Haunted House. And I believe this one was like $9. Yeah, so not bad. And I'm going to add this to my October TBR as well. I'm super excited to get to it. I also have the Final Girl support group, which is right on here. But I also got that from the Strand like back in July. And I did get that for used for like $10. But I'm super excited to get to this one. And then the one that this was actually the book that I exchanged for Not in Love, but I found this book at the used bookstore for $5. So I decided to exchange the one that I paid full price for at Barnes & Noble. It was like $17. And I just decided to pick up the used one. So I got Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, and that's so much better, right? So again, I haven't read any of these yet, but for some reason I keep on picking them up. I've been wanting to pick this up for quite a while from Target, and I'm actually happy that I waited because I didn't know I was going to get it for $6. So that ended up working out. So I got this one. And then the last one that I got, I haven't read any of the synopsises for these, but they're pretty well-known books. The last one that I got, which was kind of a crazy find that I got for $6, and honestly, I'm probably the only person that got this for $6, and I'm so happy about this one. This is actually the #1 book on the New York Times Best Books of the 21st Century. Not just on the #1 New York Times best-selling list, not just the #1 books in the past, like, 10 years. No, this is of the 21st century. That's a big claim. So this one says, this one is called Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend. And I found this in the front of the bookstore for $6.50. And I was like 100% buying this. I was actually looking for this in my local library. And I also like that it has like a book jacket, so then I can use this as a bookmark. I'm like, okay. And this says, from Italy's most acclaimed authors comes this ravishing and generous-hearted novel about a friendship that lasts a lifetime. The story of Elena and Lila begins in the 1950s in a poor but vibrant neighborhood out on the outskirts of Naples. Growing up on these tough streets, the two girls learn to rely on each other ahead of anyone or anything else, as their friendship, beautifully and meticulously rendered, becomes a not always perfect shelter from hardship. I actually saw oh my god, what is her name? Books with Emily Fox. Her name used to be Beauty with Emily Fox, and then I recently rediscovered her channel, and I didn't know that she became a booktuber, and she reads like hundreds of books, and I love her channel so much. I used to always love her makeup channel, and then she transitioned to Books with Emily Fox. And she is the only booktuber that I've watched that has read this series, and she said that she stretched out this series to read over the course of 3 years because she loved it that much that she didn't want it to end. And it's only 4 books, so maybe I will stretch out this series, but at least I have the first one. I'm not going to get to the other 3 anytime soon, but I'm hoping to get to this before the year ends. I was so tempted to add it to my September TBR, but it's already full, so let's not overwhelm myself. Okay, and then the last 4 books, I got 2 from Target and 2 from BJ's. So the first one is A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire by Sarah Hawley. This one is probably the most recent release that I picked up. Yeah, this is like the only pretty much new release that I picked up. Besides like the other book that I got from Target. So this one actually just came out, I think like 2 weeks ago. And this is the 3rd book in I forget what this series is called. But there's 2 other books before this that I haven't read yet. I keep on pushing them back. I really don't know why. I'm like, these sound like such a fun time. But they're all on my October TBR. And those are going to be the first books that I read in October. Because I'm 100% reading those in October. Because I have to. And also because they've been sitting on my TBR for so long. I think I bought those back in like March or April. So I'm like, I need to read them. But I still wanted to pick up the 3rd one. So I'm super excited to read this one. And then I also picked up the 3rd book in the Belladonna series. Oh, but this is so gorgeous. Oh my god. This is such a pretty edition. Now I want all of them in hardcover, but the first book is on Kindle Unlimited, And the second book, I actually picked up the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. And I really did want to get to this series in August. I was like, I want to get to some kind of series. And also now this trilogy is over. Like, this is the last book in the series. And this just came out, I believe, like last week. So this is like the newest release that I picked up. But I didn't get to it in August. So I don't know when I'm going to get to this trilogy. I'm hoping by November. I feel like November is just going to be a series month for me, and I'm just going to read a whole bunch of series that I haven't read yet. So the third book is called Wisteria by Adalyn Grace. And like I said, I also picked this up from Target. But now I don't own the first one because, again, it's on Kindle Unlimited, but it's also only $9 at Target, which is what I pay for used books anyway. And I'm so tempted to pick up the first one just so I'm more intrigued to read it. Because I feel like when you physically see the book, I feel like that intrigues you even more. But anyway, look at this cover. Isn't this gorgeous? But then look at the inside hardcover. Look at that. I didn't even know it had artwork on it. Like, that is so pretty. Like, what? That is so pretty. And it says... It said that the wisteria vine is a symbol of immortality. And then the inside artwork. Like, that is so gorgeous. And then they have it on the back, too. Okay, this was worth every penny. I think it was like 20 bucks at Target, but... Or maybe like 17, but still, that is so worth it for this kind of edition. This is beautiful, so I'm super excited to get to this. And then the last two books, I picked these up at BJ's for $17 each, so they were a bit cheaper. They're both hardcovers. So the first one is Mary Kate Andrews' Summers at the Saint, and I actually have read this one too, because I actually just finished this one like 2 days ago, because this one I really wanted to get to in the summertime, and I really wanted to put it on my summer TBR. And I think I picked it up like 3 weeks ago. And this was really good. I really did enjoy this. It's basically like a summer murder mystery. I found it to be a little bit predictable though, so it wasn't quite 5-star for me, but I still really enjoy her writing and I really do want to read more of her books. So I picked up that one. And then the last one that I got from BJ's, and also Summers at the Saint is a 2024 release. This came out back in May. And this one is also a 2024 release, and this one came out in July. So I love how, like, the last 4 books that I talked about... Oh, Not in Love came out this year as well. This one came out, I think, in July as well, or maybe June. But that was, like, her most recent book that came out. So this one is called The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. I had no idea about this book. I didn't even know what it was. But I was like, oh my god, this book is so beautiful. I'm like, I kind of need to own it. So this is what it looks like. So beautiful, you guys. And again, such a beautiful inside cover. I mean, inside end papers. And even the actual book is so cool. It says Never Trust a Dragon. It's just awesome. I really do love this. And then the sprayed edges are just so beautiful. And then the end papers have the same design, but just so pretty. And I'll read the synopsis really quick. This one is on my TBR for September, but we'll see if I get to it. Because I drew this as one of my prompts, as the beautiful cover prompt. I'm like, you know what? I don't really have any other books that fulfill that prompt. And also I was thinking about reading this one because it was actually the only book on my top shelf. If you saw my bookshelf tour, this was the only book that I hadn't gotten to yet. I had read 5 out of the 6 books on my top shelf. So now I kind of want to complete it, but at the same time I turned that shelf into my TBR shelf. And you'll see that in my TBR video for September. So this one says, infused with magic and romance, the sweeping fantasy adventures inspired by the legend of Mulan follows a young woman determined to choose her own destiny, even if that means going against everyone else she loves, raised to obey, destined to rebel. So really excited for that one. And then let me just show you guys my 2 books of the month. I didn't know if I should, but I'm like, what the hell? Why not? Again, I bought these in, well, I bought one of them as my add-on, but I still bought these in, well, actually, I ordered these at the end of July, but I received them in August, so it still counts. So I got The Wedding People by Alison Espach, and this was my book of the month for August. And this one says, a propulsive and uncommonly wise novel about one unexpected wedding guest and the surprising people who helped her start anew. This is on my TBR for this month because I feel like it's kind of summery, and I kind of want this to be like my last summer read, so then I can get to like all the other fantasy books that I want to get to in the fall and all of that. But also, like, I feel like this is kind of a good September read. I don't know why. I'm just really excited for this one. And then the add-on that I got was Kristen Hanna's The Women. And this book is actually her highest rated book on Goodreads besides The Nightingale, I think they both have, I think this one actually has a 4.64. So it beats out The Nightingale by like a 0.0, it's like a 4 instead of a 3, because Nightingale is 4.63 and this is 4.64. I'm not going to read the synopsis for this one, but I am so excited to get to this book. For some reason, this was the first book that I wanted to start with Kristen Hanna, because I've never read any of her books. And I think this was actually her most recent release. So actually, both of these are 2024 releases. This one came out in the beginning of August, I'm pretty sure. So I actually think that one's the most recent release that I picked up. Besides, actually, Nevermind, Wisteria is the most recent one. Because like I said, that one just came out last week. So I'm really excited to get to this one too. I actually decided to skip Book of the Month this month. And I didn't skip it all the way, but I did decide to redeem an audiobook because I had a credit for an audiobook. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just do that so I don't have to add more books to my physical TBR. And also, I'm like kind of running out of room to store books right now that I'm like, I'm probably going to be on a no-buy for September. There are 2 books I want to pick up, though, that come out in like 3 days that are like new releases, or actually like 4 days technically. So yeah, I skipped Book of the Month, and I'm just really excited to read all these books. These are both on my September TBR as well, because I really do want to get to The Women as well. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else. I think I covered pretty much everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. I wore my Wish shirt today. And also, I had time to film this today because I actually finished 2 books today. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to film because I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to finish the books that I want to read. And I finished 1 physical book and I finished Redeeming 6. Because I was really close to finishing it, and I only had like 25 minutes, so I actually just listened to the end of it right before I filmed this video. So that's great. So now I've finished the first 4 books in the Boys of Tommen series, and then I'm going to move on to Taming 7, which is great. So yeah, I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know what you think of this haul. Is this a little excessive, or... But I knew I was going to buy books in my birthday month because I'm obsessed with reading now and I love books so much. So yeah, bye!